Hi guys, welcome to something a bit different. And if you're here for role-playing content, then I'm afraid there's going to be none. So click away now, as I'm probably only uploading this video for myself as a memory of what's been going on with the lockdown and the pandemic. What you're seeing is footage I took during the lockdown of my hometown of Irvine on the west coast of Scotland. And I'm going to take a wander through the Rivergate centre. The lockdown didn't really affect me as much as it did other people, for the past 4 years I've been self-employed and worked from home. So the major difference to me was home teaching Adam, my 15-year-old son, who appears in some of my videos. And apart from one trip I had to make to an abandoned and empty Glasgow for an IT emergency, and I assure you it was an essential visit, necessary to ensure that people could keep working from home. But apart from that, I was just sitting in my home office working away each day. But I found it was far too easy to be sedentary, sitting in front of a computer every day, but now with an excuse as to why I couldn't go out and get any exercise. So I forced myself to go out each day or two and walk a few miles to burn a few calories and stop my body from merging with my chair. And this is where we reach this footage, where even though every shop and shopping centre had been closed, in Irvine the shopping centre is a public right of way, one of the very few ways of crossing the river which cuts through the centre of the town. You see, back in the 1960s, with Britain's cities growing ever larger sprawls of buildings, the UK government came up with a plan to create commuter towns outside the cities, and create new towns to take the overflow from the cities, which would be pleasant and green places for people to live. And across England, brand new towns were created, such as Welwyn Garden City, Hemel Hempstead, Basildon and Milton Keynes. But up here in Scotland, to take the overflow from Glasgow, they chose some smaller villages and towns which needed updating from their now outdated industries. And Irvine was one of those. Irvine has been a town for about 1,000 years or more, with 3 castles within its borders and a history involving William Wallace and Mary Queen of Scots. It's actually one of the few royal boroughs in the country, given assent by Robert II of Scotland in 1372, and therefore one of the few places allowed to use the royal lion in its coat of arms. Irvine had once been the port for the city of Glasgow. As the Clyde was dredged and shipping moved away, the town went into decline, and was therefore perfect for the renovation of the new town project. As a major part of the renovation, they demolished a large section of the centre of the town, with its small windy streets and little shops, and built the shopping centre here, replacing the road bridge across the river and creating a dual carriageway right into the centre of the town and abundant parking. The entire centre of the town was changed, with not only buildings being demolished, but entire streets being wiped off the map to make room for larger constructions. Changes in government in the 1970s progressed, meaning that new town projects lost support and funding, and were wound down early, meaning that such wonderful planned enhancements to Irvine were never put in place, such as the monorail for getting into the centre of the town from the planned new housing projects along the beach, a pleasure beach including a roller coaster and a yacht marina, although this did mean that at least some of the historic town was saved from the bulldozer. But it was the replacement of the road bridge which led to the shopping centre being designated a public right of way, making it illegal to block people from passing through it, unless of course there's a fire or other emergency. And normally the shopping centre sits open 24 hours a day, even if all the shops are closed. So, during the lockdown, while everywhere else was closed, our shopping centre remained open, and was one of the routes I'd take during my walks. And I found it fascinating, this glimpse into a world without people. The shop's now closed for around 3 months at the point I took this video. Window displays still advertising Mother's Day, which in the UK was the weekend after the lockdown started, so now many months ago. The different notes that the shops have displayed. Closed for the foreseeable future seems a common phrase they've used, and quite a foreboding one, as at the start of this there was no end in sight. The standard form notices obviously sent by head offices, redirecting people to their websites, so they could try to keep business going even with all of their branches closed. But I personally like the handwritten ones, from local managers and owners, hoping their customers stay safe and in good health, hoping to see them when this is all over. It really does seem apocalyptic, and rather strangely these handwritten notes remind me of the graffiti notes in the safe houses in the Left 4 Dead zombie games. Messages left telling loved ones where they're going and hoping they keep safe. But when I've been wandering through the mall in the middle of the day and only seeing a couple of other people passing by, and especially during my trip up to Glasgow, which was right in the middle of the lockdown, when I was sitting alone in a train carriage which would normally only have standing room left, and in the city itself, the empty streets felt like I was in a post-apocalyptic movie, along the lines of 28 Days Later. The streets, which would normally be filled with thousands of people going about their daily business, were totally deserted and empty. Now, I've had this footage sitting on my hard drive for a month or two, and when I'm recording this voiceover, the shops are now all open again, and the streets, although still emptier than normal, have returned somewhat to normality. And we're all getting back to our lives, although lives which are changed due to the requirements forced upon us by COVID-19. We all now have to wear masks, and to me it looks more like a bandit convention than a normal trip to the shops, and I find myself wanting the world just to go back to how everything used to be. Although restaurants are open, with masking required everywhere, I'm not sure exactly how that's supposed to work. And although I suppose I can get a drive-through or other takeaway, I used to like just grabbing some food in a fast food place and just sitting in and watching the world go by for half an hour or so. Anyway, I think I've probably talked enough. My wander is coming to an end as I reach the other side of the Rivergate Centre, and then headed on my way home. So I thank you for watching, and I hope you're keeping okay, both physically and mentally during these trying times. Please do as you're advised and wear masks, stick to social distancing, and most of all, look after yourselves. And we'll eventually put this behind us and can return to normality of meeting friends, hugging those we care about, and getting on with our lives. Bye.